A major easing of Queensland's COVID-19 restrictions will come into effect today. It includes changes to mask-wearing rules and venue density limits. It means Queenslanders will only have to don a mask in certain settings, and when they cannot socially distance. So what's new? From 6 p.m. today, masks will no longer be required in most indoor settings, including workplaces, schools, shops, cafes, restaurants, and pubs. This applies to both staff and patrons. They will still be required on public transport, when visiting airports, on planes, in prisons, and in disability, hospital and aged care settings. Masks are also recommended whenever you can't socially distance. Vulnerable members of the community are encouraged to continue wearing one if they want to. Masks will be required in fewer public places, but could make a comeback over winter months. Mark Leonardi. Could masks make a return? Yes, the door has been left open for mask wearing to return around flu season. Chief Health Officer John Gerard said last month there was a significant chance masks will be mandatory again at some point. We assume there will be some secondary wave in winter. How large it will be we don't know, he said. If and when we do say mask wearing is mandatory, we want people to take that seriously. What about changes for businesses? Density limits will be scrapped, with no restrictions on the number of people at weddings, funerals, or in homes. Food courts, hairdressers, gyms, private venue hire, and universities will also no longer be subject to restrictions. Bans on visitors to schools, school excursions, and assemblies will also be lifted. Queenslanders will still be required to use the check-in app at venues that ask for proof of vaccination. Kai Bin Wong. Do I still have to use the check-in app at certain venues? Proof of vaccination will still be required at certain venues. Businesses that only allow fully vaccinated people to enter will need to continue to collect contact information and proof of vaccination via the check-in app. You don't have to check in at other venues. Health Minister Yvette Dieth last month said vaccination requirements for entry to some public places would remain. We will continue to watch closely what happens with our cases, and we will regularly be updated by the Chief Health Officer as to when we can move to lifting further restrictions, she said. Remembering that the only restrictions we will now have after March 4th is the mandatory vaccination, both for workers in certain industries and patrons, and also the requirement to isolate and quarantine for 7 days at a time. Are daily COVID press conferences a thing of the past? Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk said in Parliament last month, the easing of these restrictions were all about getting our lives back to a new normal. Which means no more daily COVID press conferences. Normal does not include a televised daily COVID update, Ms. Palaszczuk said. We will still publish COVID numbers every day, but from the first week of March, we will only see our Chief Health Officer when needed. Daily COVID numbers are published here on the Queensland Health website and social media accounts. M to mute, left and right arrows to seek, up and down arrows for volume. Watch 16 minutes 12 seconds 16M How and when will the COVID pandemic end?